Cameroun Chamber of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Crafts is an indispensable partner in Cameroon's sustainable economic growth. It is a national consultative and representative body at the service of the entire Cameroonian enterprise sector and was founded in 1921. It is the Latin-type chamber, like what entails in most continental European countries, and it has a total membership of about 810,000 from the private and public sectors. The Cameroon Chamber of Commerce is run by its two main organs. These include the Plenary Assembly and the Executive Bureau. The Plenary Assembly is composed of 160 members elected by their peers, and the Executive Bureau has 12 members and elected by the Plenary Assembly. The Cameroon Chamber of Commerce has two main missions, the first of which is of public interest. Here, it serves as a platform for dialogue between the public and private sectors, and it plays a great deal of attention on promoting Cameroon's image abroad as an important destination for trade, investments, and networking. Its second mission is of professional interest, and the major activities here involve business information services, including real-time information, business counseling and advisory services, and training and retraining. The Chamber of Commerce in Cameroon has its headquarters in Douala. It also has 10 provincial delegations located in the administrative headquarters of Cameroon's 10 provinces. Cameroon is located at the Gulf of Guinea, strategically in the heart of Africa and at the crossroads of the tropical north and the equatorial south. Cameroon is bordered on the north by the Republic of Chad, on the east by the Central African Republic, on the south by Gabon, Equatorial Guinea and Congo-Brazzaville, and on the west by the Atlantic Ocean and Nigeria. Cameroon has a system of government which stands as follows. We have a head of state, His Excellency Paul Biya, who is elected by direct and universal suffrage for a mandate of 7 years. A prime minister and head of government is appointed by the head of state. He is head of government. The legislative power is in the hands of a parliament comprising two houses. These include the Senate, which has 100 members, 10 per province, and the National Assembly, which has 180 members, elected for a 5-year term, renewable. The judicial power is vested in the Supreme Court, Appeal and Magistrate Courts. Here are the economic indicators of Cameroon. Its currency is the franc CFA. Its distribution of gross domestic product is mainly primary at 44.6%. Secondary production is 18.9%, and the tertiary sector is 36.5%, and an inflation rate of 3.0. Now, Cameroon's economy has new regulatory frameworks for investments. It has a liberalized economic landscape that has witnessed the revision of the investment code. They provide equal opportunities and treatment for nationals and foreigners alike vis-à-vis property ownership. And there is the introduction of simplified procedures, attractive incentives, and guarantees. There's also the freedom to transfer income from investments, free choice of arbitral procedures in the event of business litigation, guaranteed freedom of entry, stay, movement, and exit for investors, associates, and staff. And above all, the institution of a one-stop shop to curb administrative red tape. Here, the investment code is paramount, and the Industrial Free Zone Board, the one-stop center for foreign trade operations, are big guarantees. Also, the regulatory framework provides for the suppression of price controls and the furtherance of fair competition through anti-dumping legislation, which includes a competitiveness committee presided at by a representative of the private sector, institution of a liberalized labor market, and the strengthening of investment promotion measures. Cameroon's investment code offers fiscal, customs, and other economic advantages in 4 types of regimes. 1. A 10-year regime for small and medium-sized enterprises, a bottom-line regime for minimum 8 years investment, and a special regime for free trade zones. And some of the main fiscal incentives available to investors include exemptions from capital gains tax, exemptions of duties from transferred property, a 50% reduction in company tax, tax on profits, and proportional tax on income from securities. A particular tax regime instituted by the 2007 finance law in favor of both large enterprises and small and medium-sized enterprises. And these tax advantages include exemption from the payment of the business license, a fixed rate of registration of CFA 50,000 francs, exemption from payment of the value-added tax on construction, material and imports meant for the launching of the project, application of accelerated depreciation at the rate of 1.25 of the normal rate, and an increase of the time frame for carrying forward losses from 4 to 5 years. Some fiscal incentives for industries under the Free Trade Zone law include a total tax exemption over a period of 10 years, payment of a global tax on profit of 15% from the 11th year, exemptions from licenses, authorizations, and quota restrictions on imports and exports, the right to open local accounts in foreign currency, an exemption from adoption or production and purchase of taxes on imports bought from the local market. In the agricultural sector, Cameroon has a diversified commodity-based economy. The agricultural sector represents 23% of the gross domestic product. It employs 70% of the working population, and its growth rate is 2% for export commodities. For the forestry sector, exploitation represents 20% of export revenue. The forest contains about 300 species of commercial value, but only 30 types of trees are presently exploited. Almost 60% of the 22 hectares of dense forest has either been locked or allocated as logging concessions. In the mining and semi-processing sectors, Cameroon has a high potential of mineral resources with 52 types of mineral substances, precious stones like gold, diamond, sapphire, platinum, graphite, etc., energy-related substances like petroleum, natural gas, lignite, bitumen, uranium, etc., metallic substances like titanium, bauxite, cobalt, nickel, iron, and the others, building materials, related substance, and marble. Mineral resources with important reserves include crude oil, natural gas, titanium oxide, bauxite, uranium, and iron ore. In the industry, public works and construction sector, Cameroon is rich with cotton. We have seeds and oil, rubber and leather industry, aluminium smelting, construction industry, oil refinery, tobacco, wood industry, petroleum exploitation, chemical industry, food processing industry. And here, Cameroon has a competitive advantage in some sectors such as timber processing and agro-industry. The tourism sector also has its investment opportunities, accommodation or construction. You have beach resorts along the coast. For example, in Kribi we have the Campo Beach, the Yo-Yo Beach, and in Limbe we have the Limbe Beach. Medium-class city hotels, for example in Yaoundé, Douala, Limbe, Kribi. Town and country hotels in most provincial capitals. Cameroon has leisure facilities. There are also creations. You have marina water park facilities, golf courses, etc. Catering and entertainment creation. International and local cuisine outfits, nightlife facilities, fast food operations, and others. And here you have the privatization of state-owned hotels to facilitate growth. Cameroon has an important tourism potential. There are several natural reserves in the north, folklore attractions in the west, beaches and the reserves in the southwest, and activities related to information and telecommunication. You have the mobile telephone, data processing, and the internet. The financial sector is also very rich, and this entire sector will expand by 6 to 7% yearly. In the energy sector, there are 6 main projects. These important projects include the Nactigo Hydroelectric Dam with a capacity of 230 to 250 megawatts on the River Sanaga, which will permit the country's aluminium producer Alcan to substantially increase present production levels, that is to 589 million US dollars. There is also the Memvelo Dam on the Ntem River, which will provide 201 megawatts. Other opportunities include privatization of some companies available. You have the Cameroon Development Corporation, the CDC, which is purely agricultural and is 100% state equity ownership. So the Coton is purely agricultural. It is 70% state equity ownership. The SCDP, which is the Petroleum Depot, it's totally owned by government. The Cameroon Telecommunications, it's also 100% owned by government. Cameroon has a growing economy, with a growth rate averaging 3.5% in recent years. Cameroon's economy is poised to be back on the rails. Cameroon abounds with hydraulic power resources, untapped natural resources, diverse and underdeveloped industrial potential, viable road, rail, air and sea links, and at least more than the essential when it comes to modern telecommunications. Cameroon also has an improved business environment. Microeconomic reforms have been successfully implemented, and this in recognition of progress made in implementing market-oriented reforms and poverty reduction strategies. Cameroon recently attained the heavily indebted Poor Countries Initiative, the HIPC, completion point. Telecommunication. In this sector, Cameroon has 2 mobile operators and 1 fixed operator. Both mobile operators so far have about 3 million subscribers, and the fixed telephone network is equipped with 2 modern satellite telecommunication centers, a cable connection to submarine fiber. The country has high hydroelectric potential, the second in Africa, 55.24 gigawatts, likely to provide an annual production potential of 294 billion kilowatts per hour. Total installed power is more than 800 megawatts. This represents 82% of which is hydroelectric and 17.5% thermal, representing 7 billion kilowatts per hour available yearly. Labor regulations are presently liberalized and are essentially based on negotiations between employers and employees. Cameroon also has a strategic position in Central Africa. It is located at the crossroads of the continent and open to the Atlantic Ocean. It shares boundaries with 5 countries of the Central African sub-region and equally has access to 150 million Nigerian consumers. Now, this represents a unique trading position. Cameroon is also the gateway to and the economic engine of the CEMAC sub-region, which has a market of 21 million inhabitants with over 50% of the gross domestic product. And it would be interesting to know that Cameroon is not only a destination for economic activities, it is also a renowned country for sports. 4 times winner of the African Cup of Nations in football, first African national team to play a quarter-final match at the World Cup that was in Italy in 1990, gold medalist at the 2000 Olympic Games, and 5 participations at the World Cup tournament.